Imagine a sleek, powerful car sitting in a driveway, its engine silent, its wheels motionless. It's built for speed, designed for adventure, but without the right fuel, it's nothing more than a lifeless shell. Now think about your life. You were created with purpose, crafted with intention, and designed for greatness. But just like that car, you can't run on empty. You were made to depend on God, to draw your strength, your joy, and your very life from Him. C.S. Lewis once wrote in Mere Christianity, "God cannot give us a happiness and peace apart from Himself, because it is not there. There is no such thing." Let that sink in. Every attempt to find fulfillment outside of Him is like pouring water into a gas tank. It might look like it's working for a moment, but eventually, it will leave you stranded, broken, and empty. We've all tried it, haven't we? Filling our lives with achievements, relationships, or possessions, hoping they'll satisfy the ache in our souls. But no matter how much we accumulate, the emptiness remains. Why? Because we're running on the wrong fuel. You were designed to thrive in connection with God, not in independence from Him. Think about a branch cut off from the vine. It doesn't just struggle, it dies. It withers because it's disconnected from the life source it was created to depend on. The same is true for you. When you try to live life on your own terms, chasing happiness in places God never intended, you're like that branch, slowly withering, even if you don't realize it yet. But here's the thing, life isn't always smooth roads and sunny skies. There are storms, detours, and moments when the engine sputters and the wheels feel like they're about to fall off. What do you do when the job falls through, the relationship crumbles, or the dream slips away? Where do you turn when the weight of the world feels too heavy to carry? These are the moments that test what, or who, you're really depending on. And here's the beautiful truth: God doesn't just want to be your fuel, He wants to be your anchor, your comfort, and your guide through every twist and turn. So, what happens when life throws you a curveball? When the storms rage and the road ahead seems impossible, that's where the real journey begins. Because it's in those moments of brokenness, those seasons of uncertainty, that God meets us most powerfully. He doesn't just fill our tanks, He walks beside us, reminding us that we were never meant to do this alone. The question is, are you ready to let Him in? Are you willing to trade the empty substitutes for the real thing? Because the road ahead may be challenging, but with Him, you'll never run on empty again. There are moments in life when the weight of the world feels unbearable, when the walls close in and the silence around you echoes louder than any noise. You feel unseen, unheard, as if you're screaming into a void where no one cares to listen. The loneliness is suffocating, the pain relentless, and the questions swirl in your mind: does anyone see me? Does anyone care? Let me tell you this, God sees you. He sees every tear you've cried in the dark, every prayer whispered in desperation, every silent plea for relief. He sees the ache in your heart that you can't put into words, the weariness that clings to your soul, and the battles you fight when no one else is watching. And He doesn't just see you, He's right there with you, holding you together when you feel like you're falling apart. Life has a way of breaking us, doesn't it? Maybe it's the loss of a loved one, the betrayal of a friend, or the shattering of a dream you held so close. Maybe it's the daily grind that wears you down, the loneliness that creeps in even in a crowded room, or the fear of an uncertain future. Whatever it is, the pain is real and the struggle is exhausting. You try to keep going, to put on a brave face, but deep down you're tired, so tired. Jesus knows that feeling. He understands the weight you carry, and He doesn't expect you to bear it alone. In Matthew 11:28, He extends an invitation that's as tender as it is powerful. "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." Not a temporary fix, not a shallow distraction, but true rest, the kind that reaches into the depths of your soul and reminds you that you're not alone. Think about that for a moment. The Creator of the universe, the one who holds the stars in place, is calling you, yes, you, to come to Him. He's not distant or detached. He's a loving Father who longs to wrap you in His arms and carry you through the storm. When you're too weak to pray, He listens to the groans of your heart. When you're too broken to speak, He hears the silence. And when you feel like you've reached the end of your rope, He's there, holding you steady, reminding you that His strength is made perfect in your weakness. But let's be honest, there are times when it doesn't feel like He's listening, doesn't it? You pray, you cry out, you beg for answers, but the heavens seem silent. The pain doesn't go away, the situation doesn't change, and you're left wondering, where are you, God? Why aren't you fixing this? It's in those moments that doubt creeps in, whispering lies that God has abandoned you, that He doesn't care, or that He's too busy for your problems. But here's the truth: His silence doesn't mean His absence. Just because you can't see Him working doesn't mean He's not. God is never late. Even when He feels slow, He's weaving a story far greater than you can imagine, and every tear, every struggle, every moment of waiting is part of His perfect plan. Think about a parent watching their child learn to walk. They don't rush in at every stumble. Sometimes they step back, allowing the child to struggle, because they know that's how strength is built. God is the same way. He sees your pain, he feels your struggle, and he's right there with you, even when it feels like he's far away. He's not ignoring you. He's preparing you. He's teaching you to trust him in the dark, to lean on him when the road gets tough, and to find your peace not in the absence of pain, but in the presence of his love. So, if you're feeling forgotten, if you're wondering why God hasn't answered your prayers, take heart. He hasn't abandoned you. He's with you in the waiting, in the hurting, in the questioning. And when the time is right, he will move in ways you never expected. Until then, he invites you to come to him, not with all the answers, not with your life put together, but just as you are, broken, weary, and in need of rest. Because his arms are always open, his heart is always for you, and his love will never let you go. The question is, will you trust him in the silence? Will you believe that he's working, even when you can't see it? Because the God who sees you, the God who loves you, is also the God who will never leave you. And that's a promise you can hold on to, no matter how dark the night may seem. You've been praying, waiting, hoping, and nothing. The silence is deafening, the waiting feels endless, and the doubt creeps in like a shadow, whispering, what if God's not listening? What if he doesn't care? Let me tell you something you need to hear. The waiting isn't a punishment. It's not a sign that God has forgotten you or that your prayers don't matter. The waiting is sacred. It's where faith is forged, where character is built, and where God does his deepest work. C.S. Lewis once wrote, I am sure that God keeps no one waiting unless he sees that it is good for them. Let that sink in. The delays, the silence, the unanswered prayers, they're not random. They're intentional. They're purposeful. They're for your good. Think about Joseph. His story is a masterclass in waiting. He was given dreams of greatness only to be thrown into a pit, sold into slavery, and forgotten in a prison cell. For years, it looked like God had abandoned him. The dreams felt like a cruel joke, the promises like a distant memory. But here's the thing: God was working. In the pit, in the prison, in the silence. He was preparing Joseph for something far greater than he could have imagined. The betrayal, the injustice, the waiting, they weren't the end of the story. They were the setup for a miracle. When the time was right, God lifted Joseph from the prison to the palace, from the chains to the throne, and when his brothers finally bowed before him, Joseph didn't see their betrayal. He saw God's faithfulness. You intended to harm me, he said, but God intended it for good. That's the power of waiting. It's not wasted time. It's divine preparation. God's silence doesn't mean he's inactive. It means he's orchestrating something far beyond what you can see. Maybe he's building your character, teaching you to rely on him, or preparing the people and circumstances around you. Maybe he's protecting you from something you can't yet understand. Whatever the reason, you can trust this: his timing is perfect. His plans are good, and his love for you is relentless. But let's be honest, waiting is hard, it's exhausting, it's frustrating. You've prayed for healing, but the sickness lingers. You've begged for breakthrough, but the doors stay closed. You've cried out for answers, but the silence is all you hear. And in those moments, it's easy to feel like God has abandoned you. But here's the truth: the darkest nights often come just before the dawn. The silence isn't absence, it's anticipation. God is working behind the scenes in ways you can't see, to bring about something far greater than you could have planned. So what do you do when the waiting feels unbearable? You hold on. You keep praying, even when it feels like your words are hitting the ceiling. You keep trusting, even when the doubts scream louder than your faith. You keep believing, even when the evidence is scarce. Because faith isn't about having all the answers. It's about trusting the one who does. It's about saying, God, I don't understand, but I trust you. I don't see the way, but I know you're leading me. And here's the beautiful thing about waiting: it's not passive. It's active. It's a choice to surrender, to let go of your timeline and embrace his. It's a decision to trust that the God who parted the Red Sea, who raised Lazarus from the dead, who conquered the grave, is still in control. He hasn't forgotten you. He hasn't abandoned you. He's just asking you to trust him a little longer, to lean into his heart when your own is breaking. Let me leave you with this: your waiting isn't wasted. Every tear, every prayer, every moment of surrender, it's all part of the story God is writing. And one day, when the time is right, you'll look back and see his fingerprints all over your journey. You'll see how the delays protected you, how the silence shaped you, how the waiting prepared you. You'll see that every step, every struggle, every moment of doubt was leading you to something far greater than you could have imagined. So don't give up. Don't lose hope. Don't let the silence convince you that God isn't working. He is. And when the time is right, he'll move in ways that will leave you speechless. Until then, keep trusting, keep praying, keep believing. Because the God who started this work in you, he's faithful to finish it. Now, let's pray. Not with polished words, but with raw, honest hearts. Father, we're tired of waiting. We're wary of the silence, but we're choosing to trust you. Help us to see your hand in the waiting, to feel your presence in the silence. Remind us that you're still good, even when life isn't. Give us the strength to keep going, the faith to keep believing, and the courage to keep trusting your timing. We love you, we need you. And we're holding on to you, no matter how long it takes. Amen. You're going to make it, not because you're strong enough, but because He is. And He's holding you every step of the way. Have you ever felt like God's timing was off? Like you've been waiting so long for a promise to be fulfilled that you start to wonder if He's forgotten you? If so, you're not alone. The story of Abraham and Sarah is a powerful reminder that God's delays are not His denials. When God promised Abraham that he would become the father of many nations, Abraham was 75 years old, and Sarah was well past the age of childbearing. Yet they held on to that promise, believing that God would fulfill it in His time. But as the years dragged on, 25 long years, their faith wavered. Sarah, tired of waiting, suggested a shortcut: Abraham should have a child with her maidservant, Hagar. It seemed like a practical solution at the time, but it led to consequences that would ripple through generations. Ishmael, the son born from this decision, became a source of conflict and division, a stark reminder of what happens when we try to take matters into our own hands instead of trusting God's timing. Here's the truth: God's delays are not a sign of His absence or indifference. They are part of His perfect plan. When God makes a promise, He doesn't just fulfill it, He prepares us to receive it. For Abraham and Sarah, those 25 years of waiting weren't wasted. They were a time of refining, of learning to trust God even when the promise seemed impossible. And when the time was right, when Abraham was 100 years old and Sarah was 90, God fulfilled His promise in a way that left no doubt it was His doing. Isaac, the child of promise, was born, and through him, God's covenant with Abraham was established. But let's be honest, waiting is hard. It's especially hard in a world that values instant gratification. We want answers now, solutions now, breakthroughs now. And when God doesn't move on our timeline, we're tempted to take matters into our own hands. We might rush into relationships, make impulsive financial decisions, or settle for less than God's best because we're tired of waiting. But like Sarah, we often find that our shortcuts lead to complications, heartache, and regret. The lesson here is clear. God's timing is perfect, even when it doesn't align with our expectations. He sees the bigger picture, the generations that will come after us, the lives that will be impacted by our obedience, the ways His glory will be revealed through our story. What feels like a delay to us is often a divine setup, a preparation for something far greater than we can imagine. So, if you're in a season of waiting, don't lose heart. Don't let impatience drive you to make decisions that could derail God's plan for your life. Instead, remind yourself that God is faithful. He hasn't forgotten you. He hasn't abandoned you. He's simply working behind the scenes, aligning everything for your good and His glory. Take a moment to reflect on Abraham and Sarah. Their story isn't just a historical account. It's a living, breathing reminder that God's promises are worth waiting for. Yes, the wait can be agonizing. Yes, it can test your faith to its limits. But when God finally moves, it will be in a way that leaves no doubt it was Him. So hold on, keep trusting, keep praying, and remember, God's delays are not His denials. His timing is perfect, even when it doesn't make sense to us. When the time is right, He will fulfill His promises in ways that exceed your wildest dreams. Until then, let your faith be stronger than your fear, and let your trust in Him outweigh your desire for control. Because when God's timing meets your obedience, miracles happen. Doubt is the silent killer of faith. It creeps in when we least expect it, whispering lies that undermine our trust in God and His promises. Think about Peter stepping out of the boat onto the stormy sea. For a moment he walked on water, a miracle made possible by his focus on Jesus. But the moment he took his eyes off the Lord and let fear take over, he began to sink. It wasn't the wind or the waves that caused him to falter, it was his doubt. That same doubt can cripple us today, especially when we face life's storms. When the bills pile up, the diagnosis comes in, or the relationship falls apart, it's easy to question whether God is really there, whether He cares, or whether He'll come through for us. But here's the truth. Doubt doesn't just steal our peace. It robs us of the blessings God is preparing for us. James 1:68 warns us, "But when you ask, you must believe and not doubt, because the one who doubts is like a wave of the sea, blown and tossed by the wind." That person should not expect to receive anything from the Lord. Such a person is double-minded and unstable in all they do. These are strong words, but they reveal a profound truth. Doubt is the enemy of faith. It divides our hearts, making us unstable and unsure. It keeps us from fully trusting God, and as a result, it hinders His work in our lives. When we doubt, we're like Peter, sinking beneath the waves because we've taken our eyes off Jesus. But here's the good news: doubt doesn't have to win. Just as Jesus reached out His hand to Peter, He's reaching out to you. He knows your struggles, your fears, your questions. And He's not asking you to have all the answers or to never feel afraid. He's asking you to trust Him, to keep your eyes fixed on Him, even when the storm is raging around you. Think about the times in your life when doubt has crept in. Maybe it was when you prayed for healing, but the sickness lingered. Maybe it was when you asked for provision, but the financial struggles continued. In those moments, it's easy to wonder if God is listening, if he cares, or if he's even real. But here's the thing: God's silence doesn't mean his absence. His delays don't mean his denial, and your doubts don't disqualify you from his promises. The key is to confront your doubts head-on, not by denying them, but by bringing them to God. Be honest with him about your fears, your questions, your struggles, and then choose to trust him, even when you don't see the way forward, even when the storm feels overwhelming, even when everything in you wants to give up. Remember, faith isn't the absence of doubt, it's the decision to trust God in spite of it. It's choosing to believe that he is who he says he is and that he will do what he has promised. It's choosing to fix your eyes on Jesus, even when the waves are crashing around you. So, if you're in a season of doubt, don't let it define you. Don't let it steal your faith or your future. Instead, take a step of faith. Remind yourself of God's promises. Surround yourself with people who will encourage you and pray for you. And most importantly, keep your eyes on Jesus. He's the author and perfecter of your faith, and he's not going to let you sink. The storms of life will come. The doubts will creep in. But you don't have to let them win. Choose faith. Choose trust. Choose to believe that God is working even when you can't see it. Because when you do, you'll find that his promises are true, his timing is perfect, and his love for you is unshakable. So hold on, keep walking, and don't let doubt steal the miracles God has in store for you. Waiting is never easy. It tests our patience, stretches our faith, and often leaves us questioning whether God is truly at work. But as we've seen through the stories of Abraham and Sarah, Peter walking on water, and the countless promises of Scripture, waiting is not wasted time. It's sacred time, a season where God prepares us, refines us, and aligns everything for his perfect plan. The delays we face are not denials, they are divine setups. They are opportunities for us to grow in faith, to learn to trust God more deeply, and to witness his faithfulness in ways we never could have imagined. When you're in the middle of the wait, it's easy to feel like nothing is happening. The silence can be deafening, the uncertainty overwhelming. But here's the truth: God is always at work. Even when we can't see it, he's orchestrating every detail, every circumstance, every heart-touch for your good and his glory. The same God who parted the Red Sea, who brought Isaac into the world against all odds, and who reached out his hand to save Peter from the waves, is the same God who is working in your life right now. He hasn't forgotten you. He hasn't abandoned you. He's simply asking you to trust him, to believe that his timing is perfect, even when it doesn't make sense to you. Doubt will come. Fear will try to take over. But don't let them win. Remember Peter: when he kept his eyes on Jesus, he walked on water. When he let doubt creep in, he began to sink. The same principle applies to you. When you fix your eyes on Jesus, when you choose to trust him in spite of the storm, you'll find that he is faithful. He will sustain you, he will provide for you, and he will fulfill his promises in ways that leave you in awe. So, if you're in a season of waiting, don't give up. Don't let impatience or doubt drive you to take matters into your own hands. Instead, hold on to the promises of God. Remind yourself of his faithfulness. Surround yourself with people who will encourage you and pray for you. And most importantly, keep your eyes on Jesus. He's the author and perfecter of your faith, and he's not going to let you down. God's delays are not his denials, his silence is not his absence, and his timing is always perfect. So trust him, believe in his promises, and know that he is working all things together for your good. Now, it's your turn to share. Have you ever been in a season of waiting? Did you struggle with doubt or impatience? And how did you see God's hand at work in your life? We'd love to hear your story. Share your experiences in the comments below to encourage and inspire others. Let's build a community of faith, hope, and encouragement, one story at a time. Because when we share our testimonies, we remind each other that God is faithful, that his promises are true, and that he is always at work, even in the waiting. So, let's keep trusting, let's keep believing, and let's keep walking in faith, knowing that the God who promised is faithful, and he will do what he said he would do.